Good evening. Settle in. Let the room be as it is, without effort to change anything. If you'd like, place one hand over your belly and the other over your heart. Breathe in slowly through the nose for a gentle count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let the breath pour out like a quiet stream for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, easy and unhurried, breathing in for 4 and out for 6. Lovely. Now allow the breath to drift at its own pace, soft as the hush of night. There is a river that does not carry water. It holds dreams, people's dreams, rippling like silk beneath a moon-silvered sky. The river of dreams cannot be found on any map. It arrives where silence is honored, and lamps glow low, where the world has softened to blue and pewter, and where the mind is willing to sit and listen. Tonight, a young woman named Mara reaches the shore. Mara is not in a hurry. She stands at a weathered landing made of cedar planks, a simple lantern hung by a hook, a small wooden boat waiting with a rope laid like a sleepy snake upon the dock. The shore is fragrant with damp reeds and a hint of wild mint. Somewhere nearby, night insects sow a delicate lace of song. From far off, the sky gives a quiet sigh, hush, like a page being turned. A light mist drifts across the water, almost like breath on glass, almost like a memory coming back. The river itself glows from within, not brightly, but inwardly lit, as if moonlight has decided to reside within it. Colors pass through the current, faint rose, pale gold, a shy blue, as if each hue belongs to a dream on its way to someone who forgot it and is ready to remember. Tiny eddies spin with soft sparkles, and there are moments when the surface shows more than a reflection. Faces of thought, impressions of hope, the outline of a song you knew as a child. These rise and fold in slow motion, then dissolve into quiet. Mara loosens the rope and steps into the boat. The wood answers with a friendly little creak and settles. She sets the lantern near her feet. The glass winks. From a small canvas bag, she draws a thermos and a tin cup. When the cup touches the plank seat, there's the tiniest, and then a curl of steam unwinds like a cat stretching. The tea smells of chamomile and orange peel. She sips, and warmth blooms in her chest. She has come for her forgotten wishes. Not the dramatic kind that shout and flash, but the humble ones that once sat beside her in the morning while she buttoned a shirt. The wish to learn the names of clouds. The wish to plant a lemon seed and wait. The wish to send a letter to someone not expecting one. Small wishes that got set aside, like stones set on the windowsill and never pocketed again. Life had gotten busy in that usual way lives do. There were errands and deadlines and important meetings, and then those ended and new errands arrived, wearing different hats but doing the same little dance. Mara had told herself she would return to those wishes later, when the calendar opened up, when the season changed, when the right moment tapped on the door. But the right moment was shy, and she had been shy back. And so here she is now, at a quiet shore, where the only schedule is the glide of a boat on a dreaming river. She releases the oars and lets the current take her. The boat moves without sound, or almost without sound. The river makes a soft shh, like a friend promising that everything can be simple. The lantern's wick steadies and hums. Reed tips bow as she passes, and a heron lifts its long neck from the shadows, unalarmed. The whole scene feels made of gentleness, night, river, boat, breath. A low breeze carries the scent of rain-soaked wood and far-away apples. The river of dreams has rules that are not rules, but courtesies. It never hurries anyone. It shows you only what you are ready to receive. If a dream is not yet ripe, it stays a bit beneath the surface, like a pearl thinking about being a pearl. If it is ready, it rises with patience, meeting you halfway. Mara does not need to decide anything. She needs only to be here, present, and willing to be surprised by kindness. She leans back, fingers loose around the cup, and watches the way starlight sinks into the current and returns as a whisper of color. On the far bank, low trees gather, their leaves shining with a damp sheen. A fox moves there without sound, golden eyes floating, and then it is gone. Above, clouds pull apart and reform, as if the night itself is practicing soft breathing. In and out. It is easy to follow along. As the boat drifts, a little cluster of ripples swirls by the bow. The ripples carry a picture, faint but tender. It looks like a kitchen table lit by early morning, a jar of fresh pencils, and a notebook with a pale cover. Mara's heart gives a quiet knock of recognition. She had once promised herself to learn to sketch, not to be great, not to display, but to sit with a leaf or a doorway and draw its edges until time widened. She sees herself years ago, laughing because her first attempts were crooked. She wanted crooked. Crooked meant human. Crooked meant alive. The image shimmers, then slips away. The river is letting her know it has many such offerings tonight. There will be room for each without crowding. Mara places the cup down and wipes a little ring of tea from the seat with her sleeve. She looks up at the sky, which has taken on that soft velvet that happens just before true night. In that velvet there is a small crescent moon, as if a silver boat were sailing above her boat, mirroring her passage. Before the first wish climbs aboard, the night invites her to loosen a little more. The oars click quietly in their locks and then float unused. Mara draws in a breath, letting it fill the belly and the ribs, holding it a moment as if she is holding a smooth stone. When she exhales, she imagines setting that stone upon the dock behind her, leaving it there with all the names of the day. Stay, she thinks gently to the stone. I'll be back for you in the morning. In the peace that follows, something near the surface brightens, the way paper lanterns glow when a match kisses their wick. The river of dreams lifts a small, luminous memory toward the boat's edge. It is the first of Mara's forgotten wishes coming home. And so the journey begins. The first wish arrives as a glimmer shaped like a page. It hovers beside the boat, then settles on the seat across from Mara, becoming a simple notebook with a soft linen cover. When she opens it, the paper feels warm, as if it remembers sunlight. A pencil is tucked in the spine. She lifts it, and the river itself seems to lean closer, curious and kind. She draws the rim of the tin cup, an easy oval, a quiet line for the lip, a gentle shade for steam. The pencil whispers over the page, "Shh." Nothing elaborate, just the small truth of what is in front of her. The sketch is a little crooked, and the crookedness is friendly. It looks like a cup that could invite conversation and hold it safely. Mara smiles, the sort of smile that happens without being asked. She does not try to finish. She does not try to be perfect. She lets the page be a pause, proof that a wish can be met in the time it takes to breathe in and out. A second wish rises near the bow, round and glossy as a drop of amber. When it opens, there is a tiny clay pot filled with dark soil and a single lemon seed resting on top. The scent is green and tart, the way zest splashes when it meets warm air. The lantern's glow seems to tuck itself around the little pot. Mara touches the seed with the tip of her finger and then presses it gently into the earth. The soil gives with a quiet mmm and accepts the gift. She imagines a window ledge, a small saucer, morning light brushing the leaves that will someday unfurl. She does not rush the picture to a fruit. She stays with the miracle of not yet, trusting the secret work roots do in the dark. The river approves with a soft widening of light. Reeds bow again, as if to bless the patient parts of life, the parts that favor steady attention over speed. Another ripple forms, very delicate, like the first ring after a raindrop lands. A folded letter bobs up, sealed with a tiny thread of gold. Mara lifts it, and the thread unspools on its own. Inside, a page lined with space. She knows at once whom she will write. Someone who once sat beside her on a long bus ride. Both of them strangers then, both sharing small stories that made the miles brighter. She never said thank you, not truly. Tonight, the words arrange themselves with ease. I remember your laugh. It sounded like a light being switched on in a room that needed it. She signs her name, and the letter folds itself into a paper boat. With a soft plink, it returns to the current, which promises to deliver it in whatever way rivers deliver such things. Maybe as a thought that wakes someone at dawn, smiling for no reason. Maybe as an actual letter, someday soon. The method isn't important. The wish is already fulfilled by the tenderness of the intent. Mara leans back, a warm ribbon of calm settling in her chest. The night has grown deeper, more velvety. Stars salt the sky, and the moon has drifted a little higher, like a caretaker checking the blankets and nodding, satisfied. The boat rocks once, then goes still. From the surface, a faint silver script begins to write itself across the sky. Cloud names, but not as lessons, more as lullabies. Cirrus, thin as breath on a mirror. Stratus, a shawl around the hills. Cumulus, little sheep wandering in a blue field. She whispers the names and lets them be simple. She does not need to memorize. The saying is enough. The river likes the sound, and the mist seems to echo it back. Another shape draws near, a doorway with no building around it, standing alone on the water, painted a friendly teal with a brass knob. On the jamb, someone has carved a small star. Mara understands. This is the wish for a day entirely her own, a quiet day given to making and mending. She does not need to walk through now. It is enough to lay her hand on the knob and feel that such a day can be chosen, not begged for. The doorway inclines as if to bow and dissolves into the soft swells. The tea has cooled. She pours the last sip and taps the cup lightly on the plank. The sound is domestic and dear, like a kitchen at peace after dishes are done. Across the water, a low branch scratches the surface. Scritch, scritch. Tiny sounds that make the world feel close and steady. The next wish is not an object. Mara sees herself walking very slowly through her own neighborhood at twilight, hands in pockets, looking up at windows that carry their private versions of evening lamps glowing, someone slicing an apple, a plant being watered, a cat watching the street. She realizes she has always hurried past, as if there were a finish line just beyond the block. This wish asks for nothing but a pace. She nods. She can give that. A slow walk is a kind of prayer that does not need words. The river sighs again, a pleasant sound, like pages turning in a quiet library. The lantern flickers once, then steadies. A tiny choir of crickets tunes itself on the bank, landing on a gentle chord that feels like home. From beneath the boat comes a small melody, almost too soft to notice. A music box theme she loved as a child. 8 notes, then 8 more, circling back to the start. She isn't looking for childhood, and the river knows not to pull her there. It only offers the comfort of that circling. Wishes she sees now are like these notes, simple, repeated, true. Do a little, then a little more, and arrive again at kindness. If you like, take 3 easy breaths with Mara. Quiet inhales that fill the belly, slower exhales that melt the shoulders. 1 and 2 and 3. Let the jaw unclench. Let the brow smooth. A final glow approaches for tonight's crossing, a thread of gold that gathers itself into a small key. Not for a lock, but for time. She understands the wish to open a regular hour, the same hour each week, just for being with herself, without tasks, without screens, without judgment. She weighs the key in her palm. It is surprisingly light. When she sets it beside the notebook, it rests there as calmly as an almond on a saucer. She can choose an hour. The choice is already relief. Mara looks over the boat. Notebook, tiny pot, the place where the letter sat, the memory of cloud names hanging like lace in the dark. None of this is heavy. Each wish seems to make more room rather than less. The river carries them all with grace, and the boat still floats high. Ahead, the current widens, the banks easing outward as if inviting a longer view. The river of dreams does not end in a waterfall or an ocean. It opens into a quiet reach of water, where the stars are reflected so cleanly they look close enough to touch. That is where the night is leading her next, toward the place where wishes rest and become part of her again, folded neatly with the ordinary of tomorrow. She feels ready to drift there now. The wide, quiet reach of the river receives the boat as a cradle receives a child. Steady, certain, made for rest. Here, the surface is so smooth, the stars appear unbroken, as if the night has lowered a second sky to meet its twin. The little lantern glows like a firefly cupped in the hands. And the wishes Mara welcomed tonight rest within its circle of light. The soft notebook, the tiny pot of soil, the small key, and the space where a letter taught gratitude how to travel. Everything feels arranged. Nothing asks to be solved. A hush passes over the water. It is not silence empty of meaning, but silence full of care, as if the river is tucking in the world. The banks lean back even farther, and low branches make a gentle canopy. leaf upon leaf, shadow upon shadow, so that the boat floats in a sheltered room with no walls. Mara sets the oars flat, lets her shoulders drop, and watches the lantern's faint halo breathe in and out with the night air. Let the inhale arrive like a small tide rolling to shore. 2, 3, 4, and let the exhale glide away longer, softer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. Allow the breath to choose its own easy rhythm, as steady as the river. Mara touches the notebook's linen cover and closes it, not to end anything, but to rest the beginning. She sets the small key upon it, a promise stacked on a promise, light upon light. The little pot of soil sits close by, content to be dark and quiet, knowing that roots prefer the hush. She understands now that wishes are not demands. They are invitations. They ask for presence, for a few minutes of true attention, for the kind of time that grows when it is honored. The boat makes a barely there sound as it turns in a lazy circle. Hush, hush, hush. That slow turning is helpful. It shows each star from a new angle, the same light seen a little differently, which is how tomorrow will be. The same life seen a little more gently. She imagines the small possible acts waiting for her. A pencil line on a quiet morning, a seed pressed into soil by a sunny window, a letter addressed and stamped, a walk at twilight with no finish line, an hour chosen and kept. There is no rush in any of it. Kindness does not hurry. Now the river brings her to a patch of water so still it feels like velvet. The lantern's reflection steadies, and the breeze lowers itself to a breath. The world is very soft. The body knows what to do in such softness. It remembers how to rest. Let your body follow Mara into rest. Start at the feet. Imagine the river's coolness washing around your toes, easing them loose. Ankles soften. Calves grow warm and heavy. Knees unknit and float. Hips sink into the safe cradle beneath you, supported and still. The belly loosens, rising and falling like a small raft on a calm lake. The chest opens and closes without effort. Shoulders melt sliding down away from the ears. Arms and hands lie quiet, palms uncurling. The neck lengthens, the jaw releases, the tongue rests broad and easy. Eyelids become pleasantly heavy, like leaves closing at evening. Forehead smooths, thoughts settling like silt to the bottom of a clear pool. A faint silver mist begins to gather low over the surface, not the mist of confusion, but of easing, making every shape softer, every edge kinder. In that gentling, the river offers one last gift, not a new wish, but a way to keep the ones you have. It shows Mara a tiny ritual, 3 slow breaths at the threshold of each day, a quiet minute at night to place a small gratitude into the river of her mind, letting it float. Simple, repeatable, true. She nods, and the mist nods back, as mists do, with a general feeling of yes. Above, the crescent moon tilts as if pouring comfort into the world. Below, the reflected moon receives it and pours it back. The crickets settle into a hushed lull, and the reeds stop their bowing and stand still, blessed and content. Somewhere very far off, the softest patter of distant drizzle writes a lullaby on leaves, so gentle it is almost only an idea of rain. The rhythm is even and kind. The lantern's wick shortens, a quiet little sigh of light. Mara draws the woven blanket from beneath her seat and pulls it over her legs, then up to her chest. The fabric holds a sun-warmed memory, carried into night. Clean cotton, faint chamomile, the safe smell of home. She nestles the notebook and the key beneath the blanket's edge, tucks the tiny pot close, and lets her hands rest. Her boat is not going anywhere. It does not mean to go. The river of dreams has its own gentle anchor, attention, and hers is steady. Take one more breath in, letting it gather the last small pieces of the day, and breathe out, letting them drift, like paper boats, like seeds, like starlight sliding back into the sky. There is nothing you must hold. If a thought arrives, greet it and let it float. If a feeling rises, place it in the boat with kindness and watch it settle beside the others. You are safe here. You are carried. The boat rocks once, barely, the way a hand might tip a cradle to reassure. The edges of things blur most gently. Sounds fade to velvet. Time becomes spacious and round, without corners. Mara's breathing is slow and even now, the kind that tells the body, rest is here and it is allowed. She closes her eyes. The river continues to breathe for both of you. Inhale, exhale, shh, keeping the rhythm while you need nothing at all. If sleep comes like a tide, let it come. If it comes like a feather, lighter and slower, let it float down and land where it pleases. Either way, the river of dreams will keep watch, unhurried and tender, carrying your wishes safely through the night and back to the warm shore of morning. The lantern makes one last small glow and then grows dim, leaving only the cool gleam of moon and star, and the feeling of being gently held. Everything that matters is within reach. Everything else can drift. Rest now. Good night.